Atlus needs to stop trying to appeal to specific groups of people that will not even purchase their games. They need to stop giving in and not bend the knee to outrage mobs from Reset Era, Reddit, and Twitter. So along with Persona 5 Royal's PlayStation 4 release at the end of March, Atlus has decided to change scenes that could be seen as homophobic for the Western release, and I have a few problems with the statements as to why they're changing the content, because if developers want to change content in a game's re-release for sincere reasons, if they feel as though it's insensitive or they've rethought the content, that's okay, and developers deserve the chance to change it. But if they're changing something due to certain groups of people being outraged and they're admitting that, that is what I think is not okay. Persona 5 Royal will change homophobic scenes for Western release. Atlus has confirmed that certain scenes in Persona 5, which were considered homophobic and offensive by many fans, will be updated and altered in the Western release of Persona 5 Royal. Speaking to IGN during a Persona 5 Royal preview event, Atlus Communications Manager explained that dialogue in certain scenes, specifically ones involving Ryuji and two effeminate male characters, would be changed so that those men were no longer shown in a negative light. We actually were able to go through some of the lines that players may not have received as well, look at that feedback, and then update it for the current generation, she said, explaining that they've changed both the first scene in which you meet these characters, as well as the notorious beach scene that they were featured in later on. It is very important to note that the content that they are censoring and changing for the Western release of Persona 5 Royal was actually in the base game of Persona 5. This is not new content. This content has been out for a couple of years now, and yes, there were people originally that were a bit upset about it, but of course a lot of the sources of that anger, if you look back from many years ago, were from websites like Reddit and Reset Era. Many fans consider the depiction of these characters to be offensively stereotypical, presenting the most prominent homosexual character in Persona 5 as extremely sexually aggressive and intentionally ridiculous, with intent of making their weirdness, the joke, made worse by the fact that your protagonist provides similarly insensitive responses to their actions. Now, Atlus has described Royal as a chance to make it right. While Atlus did not share exactly how these scenes would be updated in a response to these complaints, the community manager and the communications manager said asking if they would be addressed was one of the first things she did when joining the team. That's really important to me, and I think that it's really important to the community as well, and she also explained that their localization team has an internal content review team she described as very on the pulse about what's right and what to do. I want to question, why is it only being changed for the Western edition? It's fairly easy to see. It's due to outrage culture. Like I said, if they want to change something for sincere reasons, that's okay. But if they're changing something due to certain groups of people saying, remove this content because I don't like it, that's not okay. It's obvious to see that they feel as though they have more to lose in the West, and they're worried about the game not selling with this content. If they truly did not want to seem insensitive, they would have altered every version of the game, the Japanese version and the Western version. Not just the Western version, and they would have also made a better statement. They actually should have been genuine about it. They're worried about negative press, and that's why they removed it from this edition of the game, not because they want a different image for themselves. I also want to question who can be evil besides white cis men in games anymore. A gay man can never be evil, a woman can never be evil, a Jewish man can never be evil, or it is all insensitive. I'm not trying to say that the writing of the characters in question isn't insensitive, because LGBTQ rights is a sensitive topic, but just because they're gay doesn't mean that they can't be evil or bad. And if there was an evil character that happened to be gay, that doesn't mean that the developers or writers are saying all gays are evil. If something is repeated behavior, meaning there's one developer or one writer that consistently does such a thing, maybe we need to reevaluate that person, but it happening once or twice doesn't mean that this person is full of hate. We are talking about a mature rated game after all, and edgy content of this nature is not new to the Persona series, and they have been accused of homophobia before in the past. In Persona 4, there was a scene that really did upset people, so just keep that all in mind. This is the second time that they are being accused of putting homophobic content into their games, but in the end, I just think that their response was poor. They're saying that they do not want to be insensitive, yet they're leaving it in the Japanese version of the game, and I don't want censorship, but developers deserve the chance to make things right. But it shows that they're half-assing it and almost treating it as a joke with only changing one version. So how do you feel about the situation? Do you think that they should have left the content in, or do you believe that it should have been changed? Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and of course if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like and share it, but of course if you did not, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.